And hey, everybody, hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for being here on If You Don't Like That. A special show today. You'll know in a moment as we get ready for the Stanley Cup Finals, the NBA Finals. We have turned the calendar to a new month. We look ahead to the NBA Draft, the U.S. Open. We have got July, which means NFL training camps, NBA free agency. We've got the end of school. We've got a lot of high school and college graduations. June is a special month. It's a special month. It's a month in which I have a birthday. It's Father's Day. I have a lot of great memories from June. And I also now have another memory of June. June 2nd, 2020, when I was getting ready to do my radio show, and I received a call at about 2:35 in the afternoon. I was getting ready to do the show from home because we were in the middle of the pandemic, and I had been doing my show from home because they didn't want a lot of people in the building. And so I got a call at 2:35 from my radio station informing me that I had been terminated. And shortly thereafter, I ended up resigning my play-by-play position with the Sacramento Kings, and that began a new chapter in my life. As they say, when one door closes, another door opens. But I remember that afternoon vividly. I remember a lot of things about that afternoon. I was bitterly disappointed that I didn't get a chance to go on the radio and talk to you and so many others. I felt like I deserved that after being on the same radio station in the same time slot for 26 years. I feel that that was owed to me. To this day, I'm bitter about that. I'm upset about that I was not allowed to go on and talk to you. But then I found this platform and others that enabled me to reach out to you and continue the friendship, the partnership, the relationship, the bond that I still have to this day with the phenomenal people of Sacramento, Northern California, and as I'm finding out on this stream, all over the world. What do I remember about that day? I remember getting a message from my wife, who was not home at the moment, and about 15 minutes before I got the phone call notifying me that I was not going on the radio, I got this text message from my wife. You speak your truth today. If it's your day, then make it count. Show everyone your love, compassion, anger about the senseless killings. I am praying your dad sits with you today and you will have peace, the right words to say, and that they will be well received. That never happened. That never happened. And there were many things that happened in that summer that I will never forget. In a summer of cancel culture, true wokeness, fear, people too afraid to speak. Shortly after I was terminated, Drew Brees went through his episode with the Saints because he talked about how important it was to stand for the national anthem with his hand over his heart, and got lambasted for that. Charles Barkley called me, told me he had just been with Drew Brees for a couple of days, and that he was so upset at so many of Brees' teammates. And we had a long conversation about that. Then you had Deshaun Jackson with his anti-Semitic comments as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I remember a story that Mitch Albom, the award-winning author and journalist from the Detroit Free Press, wrote. I wrote it down because I was like, wow, it was so powerful. So powerful. Mitch wrote this upon Deshaun Jackson's comments. Silence is compliance. That's a popular sentence today. But you can't be selective with your noise, not against hate. For all the bigoted garbage stirred up against Jews last week, it was disturbingly quiet out there. We should think twice about why that is. On that front, nothing has changed in 5 years. Look at the horrible, horrible incident that just occurred in Boulder, Colorado, which is just one of many, 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 many attacks against Jewish people all over the world and here in America. The ignorance surrounding this particular subject is horrifying. Malcolm Jenkins of the then Saints, right after Deshaun Jackson's comments, said this: Jewish people aren't our problem, and we aren't their problem. We've got a lot of work to do, and this ain't it. And that's the problem with our society, right there in a nutshell. We all need to put our arms around one another, and we all need to come together. The ignorant comments of those like Malcolm Jenkins and so many others is why we're so divided and why we have so many issues. And I go back to a very simple phrase: all lives matter. Every single one. I'm often asked if I could go back to May 31st of 2020, if I would have tweeted the same thing. And I would have tweeted the exact same thing when asked about BLM. But I may have added a few words just to appease the ignorant people. I may have changed it to say this: of course, the lives of Black people matter. All lives matter, every single one. I shouldn't have to say that because all lives matter, every single one doesn't have any gray area. Every single one is 3 words that you can't change to fit your narrative. But unfortunately, there are those in our society that want to take the meaning of 6 words and change the meaning of those words to fit their narrative, to validate their point of view. And you can't do that. You can't just change the meanings of words. Every single one, I felt at the time, was very self-explanatory. All lives matter, every single one. But if I could go back and rewrite that, I would have said, of course the lives of Black people matter. All lives matter, every single one. Just for those out there that have their heads stuck in the sand, that have blinders on, that think that there's only one race that deserves attention, I would have said that. Again, you look at the anti-Semitic attacks going on in this country. You look at the ongoing, and listen, I'm not Jewish, but I feel for my Jewish friends, and I have many Jewish friends. I grew up in an area of Long Island that was very populated with Jewish people that I went to high school with in junior high school, that today are some of my best friends. And I feel awful for them, because why are they being attacked? Why? Why is any group based on their ethnicity, their religion, their sexual orientation being attacked? Why? Why? And over this past 5 years and the summer, I read a lot of things. I wrote down a lot of things. And of all of the tweets that I saw in the summer of 2020 and subsequently, the one that sticks out the most is the one from Kevin Youkilis, former MLB player. He tweeted, "The mental health and well-being of our country is deteriorating, and social media is the culprit. The constant hatred towards others that don't share the same opinions is tiresome and unhealthy for our society. We all need to be better so the next generation is healthier and happier." There you have it. The best tweet that I saw, not only in 2020, but maybe ever. The mental health and well-being of our country is deteriorating, and social media is the culprit. A freaking men. A freaking men. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. So I think of June 2nd in 2020. I think of that summer. I think of making a decision to move out of Sacramento and go to Florida, which I love. It's a great state. I've met so many new friends of various cultures, backgrounds. One of the great things about moving to Florida and talking with so many people from different parts of the world was this topic. I've been very open about this. I only found one individual who agreed with me being terminated. All of my other Black friends were appalled, thought it was ridiculous. Many of whom don't want anything to do with Black Lives Matter, don't want to be put in the same sentence with Black Lives Matter, are embarrassed by Black Lives Matter, and quite frankly, distance themselves from Black Lives Matter, which I found very surprising. And they educated me on why that is. Now I don't find it surprising at all. Back in the fall of 2020, I found it surprising. Now I actually understand it fully with great clarity. 5 years goes fast. 5 years goes fast. And here I am in the month of June, the date 2 of 2025. And in many regards, we haven't made any improvements at all in our country. We've actually gone backwards, in my opinion. And again, I think social media is the culprit. I also think that many members of our media and our sports media continue to throw gasoline on the fire and spread this country apart. I think it's unfortunate. It has turned me off. And for that reason, I don't watch ESPN. I will not watch any of the pregame, halftime, or postgame shows of the NBA Finals. I'll watch the games, but I won't watch any of the nonsense that goes on surrounding the games. So I talked to you on this 5-year anniversary of would I go back and do it all over again? And the answer is yes, I would have, with a couple of extra words added. But I believe that all lives matter. I've always believed that. I was raised that way. I believe we are an extension of our parents. For those of us that are lucky enough to have parents, and by that I mean we come from a lot of divided families now, not nuclear families. We may have lost our mom or dad at an early age. We may have been raised by one parent. We may have been raised by a grandparent. And so for those of us that were blessed to have a childhood with our mom and dad, particularly in the same household, their parenting certainly goes a long way in shaping who we are. And I've always said this, and I haven't read this in a long time, but allow me to read a couple of sentences here. On the day that my dad passed, on November 2nd, 2007, because I've thought a lot about this. I've wondered what my dad would think if he were alive in 2020 and saw what happened to me and so many others with cancel culture, saw what was going on in our world. Quite frankly, I'm happy that my dad didn't see that. I'm happy that my dad didn't live through that era, because he would have been so hurt and so sad to see the division in our country. But again, I think that we are an extension of our moms and dads. I know I am. And my dad was the epitome of what I've always aspired to be in terms of how I treat people and how I look at people of all cultures, of all ethnicities, not only in America, but around the world. This was from my father's best friend, Frank Taramina, Union College alum, principal, Niskayuna High School, Schenectady, New York. Bert Napier passed away Friday, November 2nd, 2007. Stu Napier just called me around 9:30 p.m. to tell me my college roommate, a 61-year relationship has ended. No more late night phone calls, no more lengthy phone conversations, no more discussions about what cause he was supporting. Could there have been anyone more interested in the cause of justice for everyone than Bert was? What a legacy of warmth and humor and genuine affection and respect I have enjoyed all my life in my relationship with him. Could there have been anything more worth having than this friendship, which have I had the privilege to take part in all this time? What a wealth of something really worth having he brought to me in the form of his family, his mother and father and sister. Could there have been any better examples of decency, generosity, of flat out human goodness? What a rare commodity that is, than the Napier family. And Bert, whatever else he did, always stood for that. for a genuine concern for other people, particularly people who may not have enjoyed the advantages that some people do. The women he visited in prison, the concern he had for minorities. What did Charlie Dugan once say? There was no one in our circle of friends and acquaintances who was a better Christian than Bert. No person who cared more. The Samaritan in the gospel story. That is who he was, caring and doing something about it. Doing something about it. There are so many people that go on social media and all they do is they hide behind anonymity and they spew out hate and violence. They don't put their name behind it. Then there are those that do put their name behind it and bitch and complain, but do nothing about it. I used to have conversations with those people on the radio, infrequently, but it happened. And when they vented and complained, I would often say, what have you done for your community? What have you done to make your community better? What have you done other than complain? And I'm often met with silence because they can't say anything. They're not involved in charities. They don't do anything for their communities. My father is the reason why I started my foundation, along with Joe Namath, not the former NFL quarterback. As a matter of fact, we took over Stan Atkinson's golf tournament when Stan no longer wanted to do it. Rest in peace, Stan. We lost a real treasure last week at age 92. And we decided, I had had a golf tournament previously, but we decided to take over Stan's tournament and change the charity to the Future Foundation, because it was my belief and my upbringing that when you have a chance to make a difference in the community and help others, you do it. So Joe and I decided on the Future Foundation, where we would send at-need, underprivileged students to college and pay for them. And to this day, it's a great sense of pride and joy for me that my foundation was able to send over 100 students to college, many of whom were Black, Asian, Hispanic, many people that would have never gone to college, all first-generation college students. All they needed was an olive branch. We extended the olive branch and we mentored them beginning in 10th grade through their college graduation. Again, I talk about, what do you do for your community? Do you just complain? We have a lot of people that complain today. A lot of people out there complaining. What do you do about it? What do you do about it? So I reflect back on June 2nd, 2020, with mixed emotions. I've learned that there's another world out there. One thing about being a professional sportscaster, particularly one that covers a team for an entire preseason and regular season, and unfortunately and frequently a postseason, is that your life is regimented. As soon as the schedule comes out, you know where you're going to be on what day, what days you're going to be flying, what days you're going to be getting home at the wee hours of the morning. And you're always on the move. Just it's like you're programmed. You're always on the move. And for me, when the calendar hit October 1, I was off and running. Very often flying out before the team to get to a city to do my radio show. If you're on the East Coast doing my radio show from 6 or 7 to 10 p.m., then there were other days where if you're on the West Coast, you're playing down in LA, depending on where the hotel was, you'd get in the night before, maybe at 2 in the morning, get your rest, get up, get some lunch, get dressed, go to the arena, do the radio show beginning at 3 o'clock, then announce the game. There were many instances where I would fly down to Orange County the night before, fill in for the great Jim Rome, do his show from 9 a.m. to noon, fly back in the early afternoon, do my show beginning at 3, and then do an NBA game. I was blessed. I loved it. But you're just on the move, on the move, on the move, on the move. And you almost, you don't know anything else. And there is something to be said about making your own schedule, going where you want, when you want, depending on your finances. I haven't really done that much, to be quite honest with you. I've been very open about going to Thailand. I made one trip to Serbia and Montenegro. And that's it. That's it. So I think of June 2nd with a lot of thoughts in my head. And I wanted to share those and some of the things that have really stuck with me over these 5 years. I primarily talk about sports on the show, and I will do that in a couple of moments because there are certain things that have been constants in 5 years that I think we will be talking 5 years from now on June 2nd, 2030. I still hope that I'm doing this show on this platform. It's also been fabulous to watch Ryan and his development to be a huge asset to this channel and to what I do and what we all do together during the King season. It's been great having him on. Been great watching him do his show, The King's Court, in the afternoons. I've enjoyed mentoring others, such as Nico, who is just kicking butt at Syracuse, who reached out to me when he was in high school at Oak Ridge and El Dorado Hills. Just last night, I evaluated more of his work, his baseball and hockey play-by-play. You'll be hearing a lot of Nico Horning because he's going places. He's going to be big time. So happy with his development. Guy is just great. So there are a lot of things that have happened to me in 5 years that I reflect upon. And I'm healthy, knock on wood. Maybe tomorrow when I wake up, I won't be. But today I'm healthy. I've lost a lot of friends over the last 5 years. Lost a lot of friends. Still in the peak of their life. And sometimes you ask yourself, why them and not me? Right? I don't know what the next year is going to hold. All I know is I love doing this show. I love talking to you. I love being able to have open forums. I love being able to educate. I'm not afraid to criticize, as you all know, because I've done that a lot throughout my career. Charles Barkley said it best. It is not possible to do this job properly and not offend someone. You can't do it. So if you want to get into broadcasting and in talk radio or this form, and if you don't want to upset anyone, if you don't want to offend anyone, you're in the wrong line of work or you're a cupcake. There are those in our market in Sacramento that are cupcakes. They're as vanilla can be. because they don't have an opinions and they don't upset anyone. You can't do this properly. You can't be successful if you're afraid of upsetting someone. Criticism is part of the show. It is part of life. As long as you don't make it personal, I don't have a problem with it. I'm criticized all the time. The only time it bothers me is when it's personal. It's part of life. Deal with it. Deal with it. So those are some of my thoughts as I've been, wow, that was a quick 30 minutes. Wow. Those are my thoughts on June 2nd, 2020. If you want to get in on the show, you want to comment, feel free to do so. Be happy to have you on. There's the link. I'll put the QR code right above my shoulder, and we can do it. All right? Happy to have you on board. Happy to talk about these things. Happy to talk about sports. All right? Broadcasting, talk radio is about being critical when need be. One's got to call it as they see it. Well, if not, you shouldn't go on the air. Respect, Grant. Great insight and transparency. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. The Kings will only have 6 more playoff games by June 2nd, 2030. It wouldn't shock me. I got to be honest with you. It would not shock me at all. It would not shock me. I would say that's more likely than unlikely. I really mean that. Grant, never missing radio shows, doing them remote. Cody, I tried to do them. It was so important to me, always. I always tried. It was so important to me to go to work every day. It was so important. I love that you never sugarcoat anything. I try not to. Thank you. Local broadcasters just don't want to get fired. Clock in, clock out. I'm afraid you're correct. There's the link. Give me a call. We'll get you on here if you don't like that. It's a lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that. I don't know how you can go on the radio and not be critical and not call out a bad team or a player that's misbehaving. Like, I don't know how you can do it. I just don't. You know, I don't know how you can do it. I really don't. I've never understood that because I'm not from a world like that. I grew up in New York, and, well, I don't have to explain to you what New York's like. And I understand some people just couldn't get used to me and my quote unquote abrasiveness. See, I don't think it's being abrasive. I think it's being honest. You know? Paul wants to know if all the stuff didn't go down, do I think I would still have moved to Florida? No, there's no way I could have moved to Florida because I would still be working in Sacramento. There is no way. Do I have any Thai friends? That's the real question. I have many Thai friends, actually. Many. Probably my best friend is my tailor, who's Thai. Great man. Matter of fact, his son is now in America doing their trunk show, visiting different cities up and down the West Coast. Has Jokic passed Hakeem on the all-time center list? You know, that's a great question. The problem is you take that era of the 90s and this era of center, like it's like a totally different position almost. But yeah, I would say he has, yes. I would say he has, yes. Not counting playing games. Yes, I took that as such. Yes. I took that as such. That's a great question. I mean, Jokic, yeah, I think he has. You know? I think he has. What do you think? Do you think he has? I mean, if I'm going to list, would I put Jokic ahead of Hakeem? Yeah, I would. Different players. So, Different players. What's my favorite state from the three of California, Florida, and New York? I can't say because they're all so different. If you take the politics out of it, it's hard to beat California with the diversity of the ocean, the mountains, Southern California, Northern California. It would be very difficult to beat that. I mean, politics, Florida by a freaking country mile over New York and Florida, like you're night and freaking day, not even close. But if you took politics out of it, I'd have to put California one. Local radio is unlistenable at this point. Boring. So I have heard. I get people telling me that all the time. Cody says, I think Hakeem could learn shooting three-pointers effectively. His time he didn't need to. Give me Hakeem defense. You know, Cody, you make a great point. And I do agree that Hakeem could have shot the three and had that. If he had played in the era of today, you're probably right. Probably would put him ahead of Jokic. It's a very good point. No question. Where has the lost art of the post-up game gone? Hasn't gone anywhere. It's the fact that the game has changed to a three-point shooting game, and so there is less emphasis on posting up. All right? That's where we're at. The game has changed. And because the game has changed, you don't see the post-up because teams want 3 points instead of 2 points. So they kick the ball out or the ball never gets into the paint. And that's what the problem with the NBA is right now. Watching Halliburton go to the finals is painful. I've talked a lot about this. This could go down as one of the worst decisions the Kings have ever made. Even though Sabonis is a very good player, Halliburton is the quarterback. He's a special player, and you can build an entire franchise around Halliburton. And the Kings had that player, and they decided that De'Aaron Fox was the man they wanted, and now Fox isn't even with the team. It's just typical Sacramento. It really is. James says, I agree, take out the politics, and no other state can beat California. I'm with you on that. And I've been all over the United States. I've been to every state. I haven't really been to Alaska other than the airport, and I'm with you on that. I would say, regardless of whether Halliburton wins this championship or not, he's not going anywhere. The Pacers are built for success, and it is going to be very difficult for Kings fans to watch him have all of this success. I don't think anyone could argue with that. I really don't. Now, does that mean he would have the exact same success in Sacramento? No, but a special player is a special player. Wanted to share this comment. I read, question is, who won the Halliburton trade? Well, the Kings have won 5 playoff series since 1985. How about that? Wow. Am I rooting for OKC or Indiana? I'm rooting for Indiana. But, I'm not going to lose sleep over it if they lose. Is there a trade in the NBA that you were expecting to happen? I don't think Kevin Durant will be back with Phoenix. I'm expecting that. Other than that, I'm not really expecting anything. But, yeah, obviously there's going to be trades. Paul's on top of it. Hit the like button. If you like this chat, got to keep it going. I would appreciate that. If you like the show, hit the thumbs up. Hit the like button. I would really appreciate that. Don't forget, shows this week, 8 o'clock. NBA Finals, Thursday. I'll be coming on after the game. So every night this week, 8 o'clock. Don't forget tomorrow, the King's Court, Rhino with Jerry Reynolds. They'll talk NBA Finals and other things as well. So today I want to come on and reminisce about 2020, June 2nd, and connect with you and give you my thoughts. I've always enjoyed doing that. I've always enjoyed reflecting. And, maybe I'll be on 5 years from now on this format, and we'll be doing the same thing. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do have a lot of support from you all, and I appreciate that. Cody says, Fox turned his back on the city of Sacramento. A lot of people feel that way. I liked Halliburton better than Fox his rookie season. A lot of people feel that way. A lot of people feel that way. I'm happy for Tyrese. Would have been nice if we knew Fox's plan sooner. I don't think Fox had that plan in his head at that particular point in time. I don't think so. But I don't want to speak for him. I don't want to speak for him. All right, so tomorrow, the King's Court, Rhino with Jerry Reynolds. Then I'll be on at 8 o'clock. Appreciate you all. Thank you very much. I wanted this to be a sponsor-free show on this 5-year anniversary. I didn't want any interruptions. I wanted to be able to tell my entire story and my thoughts and go straight from start to finish. So we've done that. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.